Finally, everyone, F1 is back. After, to be fair, the summer break didn't feel too long. I'm sure we've had longer ones. But it's nice to be back. Kind of wish it wasn't Zandvoort, but we move. Anyway, we are Box Podcast, powered by Box Club. If you do want a 30% discount off an Ultra subscription, then do use code BoxPod. You can download the app absolutely free from both the App Store and the Google Store, whatever it is you use for Android. If you want to get involved with us, do make sure you follow us on social media. That is Instagram, TikTok. Just search BoxPod and we will come up. I think TikTok is Box Clips. And yeah, we'll be there. So we're going to crack on. I'm not going to waste any of your time. If you're listening to us on any audio platform, which you have to be, give us a 5-star rating because it really makes a big difference. You can also leave comments on Spotify, apparently. And if you are watching us on YouTube, firstly, it's nice to be back. We obviously didn't post last week because it was just, we thought the episode wasn't worth posting on YouTube, to be quite frank with you. But we are back. F1 is back. Let's crack on.
All right, guys, welcome along. And it is race week, and that's my favourite type of week. I'm happy. We've got racing back this week. We're going to probably see another dominating Mclaren performance. We'll probably see another poor performance from Lewis Hamilton and Ferrari. But it doesn't matter because F1 is back, and that's the important thing. So, not much news this week. But Luke, there's a few things which I want to discuss. So, let's get right into it. Lewis Hamilton, will he get a new race engineer? As we know, there's been quite a adjustment for Lewis Hamilton this year, from going from Bono to Ricky this year, and from the outside it looks like it's not working, and there's a lot of speculation that actually the race engineer will be replaced within the next few races. What's your thoughts on
that? I think. Look, there's always so much more to these relationships than we will ever see. But I would say, from what we can see at surface level, it doesn't look great. It doesn't look like they have that understanding of one another, that connection. I feel like, you've got to remember that the driver is there to fire up the engineers as well. It works. It's a two-way relationship, and I just feel like they don't have that connection. It's not about the bond, right? No one is going to build up a bond like Lewis and Bono had after just, 5 months or whatever. Or the relationship that Max has with GP. Like, these take time to build, but off the bat, there's like no connection. This is like going on a first date and being like, oh, well, no, we don't share any of the same interests. I really thought she was quite boring, to be honest, and I certainly wasn't attracted to her. And then being like, but yeah, we're going on a second date next week. It's like, well, what's the fucking point? Like, why waste your time with that? Like, there's no spark between them that you need. You don't sit there and listen and you think, yeah, they've got it. But I do feel like that comes from a Ferrari side, because I feel like people have never been massively complimentary of the Ferrari engineers. I know I wasn't a big fan of Ricky when he was Carlos Sainz engineer. And to be truthful, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of Brian, Charles's engineer. So I think it could be likely, but like I say, there is always more than meets the eye. We get shown a little fraction of what that relationship is truly like. But if it happened, would it surprise me? Nah.
No, and there's a lot, some people have come back and said, well, actually, he seemed to get on well with Vettel and Carlos Sainz in the past, and that's true. But when you're a 7-time world champion, you're obviously going through this whole transitional period now. You need someone who you can gel with, and that just doesn't seem to be working for Lewis. And you saw when, even with Carlos, even with Seb, it wasn't always plain sailing with Ricky.
No, and And I think ultimately it's, you know, even if Lewis wasn't a 7-time world champion, if Lewis was Carlos Sainz, let's say we were really, but let's say Carlos Sainz had been brought in because he was the next thing. He was this guy that was going to take us to the next level, because that is why they've brought Lewis Hamilton in. They think he's the guy to return the Drivers' Championship back to them and the Constructors' Championship back to them. If you're doing that with anyone, Max Verstappen came in. If it's not working with the engineer, you don't replace the driver. You replace the engineer. And clearly, from what we can see, there is something that is just not clicking. It does not matter whether that is coming from Lewis's side or Ricky's side. It does not matter. But if it's not working, it's not the driver who loses his seat. It will be the engineer that loses that role. You know, he's not going to get sacked from Ferrari. He will still have a role, because his job is not to just turn up of a weekend and chat to Lewis over the radio. His job is much, much more important than that. And, you know, there's a lot of stuff that these guys do behind the scenes that we just don't see. So he will be a very, very skilled individual, right? I'm not taking away his credentials or anything. To get to where he has got, Riccardo Adami will be a very, very skilled man, right? He'll be intelligent.
100%.
You know, he's at the top of Ferrari. You know, he's high up. But at this point in time, what is really, really important is his relationship with the driver over the radio. And if that is not working, they are going to have to replace him with someone else. And like I say, he'll have another role somewhere within Ferrari.
Yeah, I mean, for Ferrari, as we've said many times, it is very important for them to get it right. They've got two very, very talented drivers. They need to provide them with a car that is fit enough to go and challenge for a championship. Obviously, that won't happen this year, but 2026 is a big year for them. But they've got to have the right people there behind them, like you've seen in the past, Bono, GP. You know, the reason why they've had so much success is because they're building for the future. And you even look at McLaren with Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris. They've got great team principals there who have a really good connection and they communicate very well. Don't get me wrong, you know, it hasn't always been the case, but you notice a difference. You notice a relationship, and you see, and that leads to success. At this moment in time, it's not quite working.
There does need to be, you just need that relationship. You know, that you need, the ultimate thing for these guys is communication. They need to be able to communicate with each other effectively. And I think that will be the biggest thing that we've seen, I think, between the two of these, is Lewis clearly doesn't feel like he gets communicated to effectively. And that's not to say, you know, maybe Ricciardo feels like Lewis doesn't communicate effectively to him, because it is a two-way street.
Yeah.
And we really, really do only see one side of it, because I would challenge any engineer to come over the radio and, you know, be disrespectful to Lewis Hamilton. I can't imagine it would last long, especially when they haven't got a relationship. You know, Bono might have been able to push his tongue out a little further, and as GP can with Max, but Ricciardo is not going to do that at this point in time. So it is a two-way street. What I don't want this to look like is we're just coming here and being like, well, yeah, like Ricky sucks, get rid of him. Like, Lewis needs someone better. It's not that. Lewis just needs someone clearly that he can bounce off. He can communicate with effectively. And if Ricky's not that person, he's not that person. That's absolutely fine.
But if he is, that is also fine. I mean, if he, like you say, if we don't see this, we only see a very small snippet of the race weekend. If they have a very good relationship, then fine, keep with Ricky. But from what we see as fans, there doesn't seem to be that unity between them, that they're good.
They're not on the same wavelength half the time.
The communication seems to be lacking. You know, Lewis says, can we do this? No, there's no discussion about it. And in the past, you've seen with, you know, drivers and race engineers, the discussion. Okay, well, I think we should do this. Okay, no, I trust you, and if you're saying that, I trust you in that. People have the faith. The drivers have their faith in the drivers. That's why Max has been so successful. Schumacher, Lewis, they've had so much success because they've built that relationship with their race engineer. And at this moment in time, it doesn't seem to be there. But as you know, Luke has said, we only see a very small snippet of the race weekend. But it'd be interesting to see what happens over the next few weeks.
Yeah, 100%. Ferrari are going to have to start doing something. I'm not sure where the solution lies for those guys, but they're going to have to do something to figure it out.
I've got a quiz for you, Luke.
Okay, I'm good at these.
Remember last one? You weren't so great.
Yeah, everyone has off days.
So since 2020, there's been 12 race winners. All right. I want you to tell me who they are. I can do this in two ways. I can actually tell you the number of wins and you can guess the driver.
No, I'll reel them off.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Race winners.
Yeah.
Lewis Hamilton.
Yes.
Max Verstappen.
Are you doing them in order or are you just doing random?
No, I'm not doing them in fucking order. How would I know?
Okay.
Sergio Perez.
Yeah.
Valtteri Bottas.
Yeah.
Lando Norris.
Yep.
Oscar Piastri.
Yep.
Charles Leclerc.
Yep.
Carlos Sainz.
Yep.
George Russell.
Yep. You've got 3 remaining.
2020. Esteban Ocon.
Yeah.
Oh no, this is where it's gonna get hard. I'm trying to like reel through the teams now. I can't. Pierre Gasly.
Pierre Gasly. Yeah. One more to go.
I feel like this is gonna be my stumbling block. I'm literally racking my brain here. Is it someone obvious?
I mean, no, I don't think it's necessarily obvious, but I think you'll kick yourself if you don't get this.
2020. I'm thinking this must be in 2020. We haven't really had. I don't think anyone in 21 won a race other than Max or Lewis.
Oh, really?
Apart from Ocon.
Oh, really? Okay. Interesting.
Oh wait, no, they must have. Because Monza, they took each other out. Oh my god, it's Daniel Ricciardo.
Well,
Yes. We got there in the end.
guys, if you're listening to this on audio, watching Luke, you can literally see the cogs turning. You can literally see him answering his own questions to get to where he needs to go. It's fascinating. It's fascinating.
But I got there. There.
I mean, spot on. 12 race winners.
Who did you think I wasn't gonna get?
I thought you might not get Gasly.
Yeah, see, I just couldn't remember if Gasly was 2020 or 2019.
Well, that's why I thought you might struggle on that one. The Daniel Ricciardo one I thought would trick you a bit, but I thought, well, you did get it. But yeah, other than that, I think the rest of them are pretty self-explanatory. Max Verstappen, 57 race wins. Hamilton, 21. Then obviously Lando, 9. Oscar Piastri, 8. Perez, 6. Leclerc, 6 as well. Isn't it mad that Charles Leclerc has had the same number of race wins as Perez since 2020?
Yeah, that is nuts. That should not be the case. But we cannot just blame Ferrari for this. Charles Leclerc has also, in some instances, been the master of his own downfall. You know, he's had 28 pole positions now, and he's in his career. He's obviously not had 6 career wins. I think he's had 8. Is it? To convert that is not or that conversion is not incredible. But I think what is incredible in that statistic is that despite having a bum car for approximately 4 years now, Lewis Hamilton is still second on that list.
Yeah, 21 race wins. It's pretty mad, isn't it?
Do we think Lewis Hamilton will finish the decade? So when we get to 2030, assuming that Max Verstappen is borderline uncatchable now for race wins this decade, will Lewis Hamilton finish the decade as the second driver with the most wins?
I'd like to say yes, but I think probably not. I do think it will be one of the McLaren. This is all very dependent on next year's cars.
You have to speculate. If you had to put money on it right now, right? Who is getting the second most race wins this decade?
Oscar Piastri.
Oscar Piastri. Interesting, right? Because you have spoken about all the rumours suggesting that Mercedes have the fastest car.
Yeah.
Moving into this new era. So why would you not say someone like George Russell? Because he's not far off already.
True. George has got four race wins. But
I'm going to put my money on Lewis. Lewis Hamilton will finish the decade with the second most race wins.
I hope you're right.
I think he'll still pick up a few from here.
Yeah. I mean, speculating, I would love Lewis to obviously finish second in that, but I think if McLaren again bring another good car next year, I do think it would be Oscar Piastri who will go forward with that. I just do. But yeah, if Mercedes are good, then George has the option. It's difficult, isn't it? It's a good question. Good question. Let us know at home. If you're watching on YouTube, do drop a comment. But if you're listening on audio, then go to our social media, drop us a message on Instagram, and let us know, because that is a good question there, Luke.
See, I'm full of them.
Yeah, fair play. Right, I got a question for you. Max Verstappen, he's not going to win the championship this year. As we know, when he became world champion in 2021, in 2022 he took the number 1 on the front of his car. When he loses the championship, he'll have to go back to number 33. If you are Oscar Piastri or Lando Norris winning, would you always take that number 1 car? Because I don't think you have to take the number. You can stick with your own number. Obviously, Lando Norris number 4, Oscar Piastri 81. Would you, if you were in their shoes, take that number 1?
Well, obviously, Lewis Hamilton always took number 44. He didn't take the number 1. He did take the number 1 in 2009. But I think then it was mandatory.
You went in order.
Yeah. So that's why I think maybe when Lewis had the option to keep his number 44, he'd had the 1 on the car. So, and I got his logic behind it. His logic always was, well, when the new season starts, I'm not the world champion anymore. You know, I was the champion last year. I'm not number 1 this year until I've won it. But he had that number 1 on his car before. And I think that's the big thing. If I was either of those boys, I would take the number 1. I'd have the number 1 on the car, 100%. I probably wouldn't for my whole career. You know, if, let's say Lando Norris wins this year, right? And he then goes on to win the next 4 world championships. I think after the first time, I'd be like, you know, that's it. My ego's been satisfied. I've had the 1. I can look at these pictures with the number 1 on my car. I don't need it every year. I just wanted to see how it felt once. So I would then go back to the number 4 if I was Lando, because I think there is something nice about having a number that is personal to you. You know, I don't associate the number 1 with Max Verstappen or fucking Lewis Hamilton, or to be fair, the person I associate number 1 with is Michael Schumacher, but because he just always had it on his car. But I think I would go 1 for 1 season and then back to my number. Look, Lando Norris's number 4 is so kind of inherent to his brand now. You know, the whole thing is LM4. It's a big part of his brand, and take away the brand element of it, it's personal to him. That means a lot. So, but I think both of them will take the number one because they're well within their right to, and I certainly wouldn't blame them. I wouldn't even blame them if they took it for their whole career. If they won the next 5 championships, Oscar or Lando, and they had number one on their car every season, fair play.
Mate, if I won the championship, that number one would be splattered all over the car. It'd be on the front, it'd be on the side, it'd be on my top of the helmet, it'd be all over the place. Sponsors, scrap them, just have a number one all over the place. That's what I'd have.
So you would keep the number one for the duration that you were world champion, as in, like, say you were a 3-time in a row or 3-time consecutive world champion, you would have the one on your car every time.
Yeah, because I think that symbolises what you've achieved. I like the fact that actually that's what you've achieved, and I like the fact that you can also go, when you have photos put up in your house in years to come, whatever, you can go, yeah, I was champion. That, it symbolises what you've achieved from that point of view. But I also like your point on, you won the championship last year. Starting that new season, you're not world champion. I mean, in theory, you are world champion because you following on. But I also see it from that point of view.
New season.
Yeah,
it's a new season. It's a new year, new you. You're not world champion anymore.
No,
you won it last year.
I think if you had a brand like Lando Norris does or Lewis Hamilton does, Mission 44, then I suppose that number is more significant to you than having a number one.
And I think that's also it from like your perspective, right? You probably don't have a number that you connect with because you've never needed to. Do you know what I mean? Whereas they've come from, Lewis was karting when he was a kid with 44. So I guess there's probably that symbolism of like, wow, I used to have this number dreaming about being an F1 at one point, and now he's like a 6-time world champion. I know he's 7, but like with the number 44 in his car, he won it 6 times with that number that he used to drive around as a kid. Yeah, I think like it's pretty cool symbolically.
Yeah, and I think if you don't have that, then changing to the number one is fine. For me, if I won the championship, that number one would be all over the place.
What would your number be?
Probably 25, because that's my birthday. But that's all I like. I quite like the number anyway, so I'll probably say 25. What about you?
Fair enough. Number 9, just always worn it on a football pitch.
Yeah, fair enough. Let us know at home, what number would you pick if you were an F1 driver? Good question. See, we're firing out these questions, Dave. There's been nothing to talk about all week, but we're firing out these questions. Right, will Ferrari win this season? Heading back into the second half of the season, will Ferrari get a win?
Is that a question or is that a prayer?
Probably both.
I don't know if they'll win. I think you'd be a foolish man to bet on them to win a race. Realistically,
I think the only driver who's likely who could win is probably Leclerc in that Ferrari.
Yeah, but there's something wrong with that car because we spoke about it in the episode with Brandon where it was like, what the fuck happened to Charles Leclerc's car in Hungary? Like, what happened? There was obviously speculation that they increased his tyre pressures because the car was running too low and they were essentially going to end up being disqualified because they would have had too much plank wear. So then when he came into pit, they really pumped his tyres up just to raise the car that little bit more to reduce plank wear. And obviously it was from the pit stop that Charles was like, fucked. And then they were like, oh yeah, you've got damage. It's like anyone watching that race would be like, well, where the hell did Charles get damaged? Because it's not like he went off track. It's not like he hit any debris or... It was just like, yes, there's something not right with this car because, they've both been disqualified already this season. There was rumours that this new suspension allowed them to run the car lower, but there's something not adding up with that car, and I feel like they just don't really understand it.
No. Well, remember what they said? They've changed like 99% of the car from last year. so I think they inherited a lot of issues which they weren't expecting, which is obviously transpired throughout the season. So for Ferrari, if they finish P2 this year in the driver's standing and the constructors, not P2 in the driver's standings because that'd be both McLarens, but if they can get a P2 in the constructors, I think that would be a very successful season for them. They'll take that.
That would be the fucking flukiest season ever. Ever. That would be incredible. Because that would be so wholly unrepresentative of how that season has been for that team.
You look back in years to come and you'd be like, oh, they're all right. They finished P2 there. Yeah, but they were so poor. If you don't go back and watch the season, it's poor.
Yeah. You would really have to watch the whole highlights of the season to be like, oh shit, how the fuck did Ferrari pull that off?
I've got to tell you this. So last night I went to a friend's barbecue, and I was chatting to this guy about F1. I've never met him before. Really nice guy. And he was just chatting about F1. He's a Lewis fan. And he said, what was your thoughts on Abu Dhabi 21? I was like, I can't talk about it. It still triggers me. And he was talking about that the day that his wife came down. He said, yeah, it's all right, don't worry about it. He went outside and he was raking the garden for about 4 hours. He said he just couldn't chill. He was so angry. He was just going around raking the garden. He said he was livid. And then he had his friend phone him up on the phone, and it was just constant going back and forth. They were just so angry with it.
The biggest robbery in sporting history.
I just love the fact that
Abu Dhabi 2021.
I just love the fact I still meet people who are as triggered as you and I, still after this time.
Anyone with like the slightest bit of integrity will be able to feel how wrong that whole thing was. So if you don't, it says a lot about you.
Yeah. Right. Quickly before we just touch on Zandvoort, what other second half of the season? Oscar Piastri, Lando Norris going for the Drivers' Championship. What are the chances of us seeing a McLaren double DNF?
I hope quite high. That would be quite nice. I think...
And through goes Lewis.
Yeah, that would be even nicer.
Yeah.
He won't be there. It will be George Russell. What I would love is for the spice meter just to be turned up a little bit. I want this to get spicy. I hate this fucking papaya rules crap and all this. Like, I want a Lewis and Nico situation. If Lando and Oscar, I know you're watching, if you want to be world champion, you got to go out there, boys. Sometimes you're going to have to smash each other up. That is just what is going to happen, because it's going to be wheel to wheel. And you're both very quick. Often you're just as quick as each other. And sometimes you're going to have to go for moves that are not necessarily on. That might lead to a crash. That is going to lead to a few headaches in the debrief room. But I feel like as we come into the second half of this season, this championship battle is going to intensify massively. Just naturally. Because every point counts so much more. And, Lando ended the first half of the season very, very strongly. And it's, Oscar still has it within his hands, right? But Lando's put himself well and truly back in the mix where you're now like, if Oscar had won Hungary, I think you'd be like, it's tricky for Lando.
Yeah.
Because Oscar's been so relentless and consistent. Now, I think, what is there, 6 points in it?
9.
9. It's so much more open. And I think that we're going to see that. We've already seen some risky moves been taken. Obviously, Lando Norris took himself out in Canada. Oscar Piastri tried some naughty dive bombs in Hungary. And at some point, it's going to go wrong for the pair of them on track.
Yeah, I think for Lando, he's had, as you said, a very strong end to the first half of the season. this now, for the people who doubt Lando, and don't get me wrong, I still think Oscar will go on and win it. But if Lando wants to go on and win this championship, this is his opportunity to show us that he doesn't bottle under pressure. He can be consistent. He can actually take it to Oscar and be the true leader in that team that Zach Brown and everyone thinks that he is. So this is his opportunity. And I said this before and I say it again. If he does not win the championship this year, he will never win a championship. This is his opportunity now. I truly believe that.
You said that last year.
Yeah. No, I didn't. No, I didn't.
Yeah, you did.
No, I said it last year for this year.
What is that? That's a terrible excuse.
Yeah. Anyway, let's move on. Let's talk about the Dutch Grand Prix. So currently we are 58% way through the F1 season. 14 races completed, 10 to go. I'm using the BoxBox app. You can go and check it out. You can even sign up for free. It's great. So Luke, the Dutch Grand Prix, and I've come up with an ad. That's brilliant. That's not what I wanted.
See, what he should do is pay for the Ultra subscription, which he could get 30% off if he used code BoxBox.
It's like,
I think it's actually BoxBox Pod, maybe.
Yeah. Right, the Dutch Grand Prix, let me tell you a bit about it. So, it's 4.2 kilometres, 72 laps, 14 turns, top speed of 327.5 kilometres per hour, and an elevation of 8.65 metres. So, the race weekend starts on Friday, 11:30 till 12:30. Practice 2 is 3 till 4. FP3 on Saturday is 10:30 to 11:30. Qualifying is 2 till 3, and the race on Sunday is 2 till 4. The main question is, Luke, who is your top 3 for this weekend's Dutch Grand Prix?
It's going to have to be a Lando Norris win. Lando was very, very strong here last year. Oscar Piastri in a very strong second place. And you know what? I think we'll see a little bit of Max magic. So Max P3. I don't think that car should be at this point finishing in P3. But I think Max will pull something special out of the bag for those fans in orange.
Yeah. I'm going to agree with you. I think a Lando Norris win is on the cards this weekend. Clip that, because this is the first time I think I've actually put Lando first.
Never ever said Lando over Oscar.
Oscar P2, but I do think a George Russell P3.
Yeah, George was the other name in my head, but I don't think we should write off Charles completely. No. I don't ever want to write off Lewis, but if I'm putting one of the Ferraris in there, at this point in time, I am going to put Charles Leclerc in there.
Yeah.
Charles was, Zandvoort is similar to some extent to Hungary. He did very well there. Whatever the hell went wrong with the car, I don't know. But let's say he doesn't encounter that issue again. Charles could be strong around that track.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but I'm still going Max. I think he'll do something cool.
Yeah. Do let us know who your top 3 is for the Dutch Grand Prix. Luke, the most successful constructor at the Dutch Grand Prix.
Probably Red Bull.
Ferrari, 8 wins. So, you got to remember it opened up. The first Grand Prix was 1952, right?
Oh,
so who's?
Yeah, but then it was they didn't race there for years.
Yeah, lap record.
Well, that's going to be Max.
No, Lewis Hamilton, a 1:11.
Wow, when was that? 2021.
It didn't say, because I clicked off. Yeah, do let us know who your top 3 is for this weekend.
That's where we're stopping.
I didn't have the facts, so that's it basically. That is the end of the podcast, and we are only just over 30 minutes in, so this is one of our probably shortest podcasts, but we'll be back next week reviewing the Dutch Grand Prix, and hopefully it's a good one. That's what I'm hoping for. So Luke, have a great week. Make sure you check us out on all social media, TikTok, Instagram, Spotify. Go and follow us on there. Leave us a 5-star rating. We really appreciate it. And we'll be back next week with a brand new episode. Bye-bye.